After 4 days of precision missile strikes, drones, incursions and artillery battles across the line of control, India and Pakistan agreed to halt all military actions on land, air and sea with effect from the evening of May 10th. Where do the two nations go from here on? I am being joined by senior Congress leader and former Under Secretary of United Nations, Dr. Shashi Tharoor. Dr. Tharoor, really appreciate your time here on NDTV.
My pleasure, Mari. Good to be with you.
Pakistan, sir, has sought a ceasefire within 3 nights of drone strikes. It failed to touch India's military installations while Indian armed forces carried out precision strikes which destroyed terror hubs on Pakistani soil as part of Operation Sindoor, and then went on to strike military air bases 24 hours later. Has India, sir, drawn the red line on zero tolerance to terror even while brokering a ceasefire?
I believe so. Look, what was the purpose of our action on the 7th of May? It was very clearly to send a message that we are not interested in a war. We're not trying to kill Pakistani civilians, but we are going to hit terrorist infrastructure. We're going to hit the bases where you guys work and train. We're going to hit the places associated with you because we want to tell you that you will not be able in future to walk across our borders with impunity and kill our people with impunity. That message, I think, was received loud and clear. Now, yes, thereafter there were 3 days of shelling, of hostilities. Unfortunately, a lot of our civilians in Poonch in particular lost their lives, and I mourn for them. But that was not India's doing. India at no stage, I believe, had any desire whatsoever to provoke a particular long drawn-out conflict. Our desire was to send a message. That message has been sent. Now, the ceasefire, therefore, depended to a great extent on the other side. Pakistan always had the right, if it chose, to put its feet on the escalatory ladder. We were not interested in doing that. What we are focused on is our own growth, our own development, our own economy, our own technology, the well-being of our own people. We do not have any desire to be caught in a long conflict. So when Pakistan got tired of escalation and their DGMO called our DGMO, our Director General of Military Operations, yesterday afternoon, I'm sure our people did not take a minute to agree because we were not the ones who were trying to make a big conflict out of this. They were, for reasons they can best explain.
Dr. Tharoor, as an expert on international diplomacy, do you think that this was the best course of action and now?
Look, undoubtedly, from my point of view, I don't like to see people being killed. I'm sorry, this sounds like a United Nations peacenik. But the truth is, there are moments when we absolutely have to stand up for ourselves, defend ourselves, and act resolutely against terror. And we did so. I am absolutely proud of the way we did so. But there are also moments when we're prepared to say, we've made our point, now let's get on with the business of life. And that's what we all want to focus on. So to my mind, what the government of India has done in accepting the ceasefire was not only the right thing to do, it was always going to be the thing they were going to do. They had made it clear from the first day, and I'm surprised there's even a debate about this, that if Pakistan hits, we will hit back. If Pakistan stops, we will stop. And that's exactly what we did. What's the surprise?
There are questions around the ceasefire, Dr. Tharoor. Many of the leaders in opposition are raising these questions. They are also strategic affairs and military experts, some of whom have criticized India's decision to agree to a ceasefire with Pakistan, calling it a repeat of past mistakes, even going to the extent of saying that India snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Then there are those who say that in these 4 days, when our forces carried out Operation Sindoor first and then managed to strike at the military bases, all retaliatory in nature, it was a defining moment in India's defense and strategic history. What are your thoughts, sir?
It was a very, very good moment. But listen, some of these people are clearly in the camp of those who wanted a quote-unquote war to finish off Pakistan. I think that is frankly fatuous. I do not believe we could have indulged in a war to finish off Pakistan, number one. Number two, I don't think that we could have achieved that outcome, given that Pakistan of today is, for all its stagnant economy and all its problems, it still is a country with a very considerable army. And as we've seen, with some friends who are willing to supply it with rather sophisticated weaponry. I personally don't think that a government that is focused on the development of the country should have embarked on any further adventure. I think, personally, I applaud the ceasefire. I would have applauded it if it happened the previous day, and I would have applauded it if it happened the next day. My logic was exactly the same as I was hearing from the strong briefings given by our government, which is we are responding to Pakistani hostilities. We are not the ones who are initiating anything. The one thing we initiated was a reprisal for a terror attack. Once that reprisal was done, we were done. If Pakistan had said, sorry, goodbye, we would have stopped then and there. Pakistan chose to shell us, we shelled them back. Pakistan chose to send us a swarm of Turkish drones, we destroyed the drones, and we sent some missiles and projectiles back on the other direction. Pakistan then chose to attack our cities and attack our military bases. We wiped out their air bases, their airfields. I think it was simply retaliatory on India's part. And I think everything we did was extremely well done. But none of it, I repeat, was because India was interested in initiating a war. That was never on the cards. We were always saying we wanted to prove a point. We proved that point. Now you tell us when you're ready to stop. If you don't want to stop, we'll keep hammering you. And they stopped. Good message.
Then what really is the future of this relationship between India and Pakistan, Dr. Tharoor? Because Operation Sindoor, will it be seen as an inflection point? And many say, and you have also said, sir, that this was a statement of India's intent and capability.
Yeah, I mean, to my mind, we've sent a really clear message. Look, it's been a steady escalation. 2015 December, Prime Minister goes to Pakistan, attends Nawaz Sharif's wedding and his birthday and his granddaughter's wedding. January 2016, we get hit by Pathankot. What does the Prime Minister do? He continues his gesture of trust and says, come and investigate this with me. Pakistan sends its intelligence officers to an Indian airbase to investigate it, goes back and says, oh, the Indians did it to themselves. End of story. That was the last straw. We never trusted them again. Uri happens in September 2016. We breached the first principle. We crossed the LOC. Remember, during Kargil, we never crossed the LOC. Crossed the LOC, hit the base from which these terrorists had attacked us. That was the first one. Then we had 2019, January. We had Pulwama. We hit them with Balakot. This time we crossed the international border. Next, we had 2025, Pahalgaon. This time we not only crossed the LOC and the international border, we hit them in the Punjabi heartland, and we hit them right in the headquarters of the terror bases. So each time we are signaling not just determination and resolution, but a willingness to up the ante. But we're doing it in a very calibrated way. What I liked about the way we've done it is calculated, cold, precise. We not just targeted only the LET. Look at the way we did it. We did it at night, so there were no civilians wandering about. Both Muridke and Bahawalpur are busy, congested cities. We didn't hit any civilians outside. We hit very precisely within the compounds of these two terror organizations. In fact, some people have told me, I have no independent source to verify, that we hit a precise building within the LET headquarters complex. That's how careful and precise our targeting was. That demonstrated capacity, that demonstrated resolve, that put fear into the hearts of these characters, and at the same time it sent a clear message. We are not going to draw any red lines around our own reaction if you do this to us. But remember, if you don't do it, you don't have to worry about this. We want to be left alone, we'll leave you alone. I think that's not a bad message to give Pakistan. In the long term, Maria, you said, how can we live alongside these people? Yes, we have to live alongside them. They're our neighbors. We can't wish away our neighbors. Undoubtedly, the time will come when something will have to give. We'll have to do some talking somewhere. It is not going to be now. And it's not going to be now because we cannot allow Pakistan the satisfaction of achieving through an act of terror what they could not achieve by any other means. If they want peace with us, there'll have to be other gestures on their part. And I would say that right now what we're going to see is, unfortunately, a continued freeze in relations. I think it'll be a while before anything approaching sort of normal human relations can be restored. That'll probably be the first thing is, separated families allowed to reunite, and maybe visas. I would personally be in favor of more people-to-people contact. But I think talking to the government and so on, and the military of Pakistan will come very much later in the day, because we will not want to reward Pakistan for what they have done by allowing this episode to warrant us giving them talks we hadn't given them earlier.
Dr. Tharoor, Congress has asked for a special parliament session on Operation Sindoor and, of course, the consequent ceasefire. What do you think and what do you hope to achieve through this session?
Look, I mean, as a congressman, obviously, I support my party's request. My understanding of this request is that it is an opportunity for the government to take the country into confidence through its elected representatives on everything that happened from start to finish, and to have a discussion. We did this in the past. We've done this in the 62 war, for example, with China. Even while the war was raging, Nehruji held a parliament session. So it's not unprecedented. It's a request which the government can choose to honor at a time that it finds convenient. It may not find it convenient today or tomorrow, but we hope it'll find it convenient to talk to Parliament about all of this. Look, the nation has stood united with the government. Don't ever forget that. This is not a hostile request. It's not a negative request. It's a request being made by people who held proudly aloft the same flag that the government has rallied us all behind. So I think in that spirit, we should take this request.
And how do you look at the role of the United States with President Donald Trump constantly making announcements, repeated announcements on Truth Social?
Look, I think that's a very unfortunate way of proceeding. I've certainly never seen anything like that in international diplomacy. Let's be very blunt about it. Presidents issuing these odd tweets. Look, as far as I'm aware of the role of the US or any foreign country, if you just look at the Twitter timeline of our foreign minister and the Pakistani foreign minister, you know perfectly well they were talking to foreign leaders all the time, and they were reporting it. Jaishankar says spoke to Secretary of State Rubio. Rubio then lets us know that he spoke to the foreign minister of Pakistan. I mean, these kinds of contacts were going on throughout these 3-4 days of the conflict. But that doesn't mean that India was requesting mediation. There is a difference between our foreign minister saying to the Americans, would you please convey ABC to the Pakistanis? And our foreign minister simply saying to the Americans, look, if the Pakistanis do this, we'll do that. We want this, we don't want that kind of thing. And then the Americans conveying to the Pakistanis, look, we just spoke to the Indians and this is what they're saying. That's not mediation. That is the Americans trying to play a constructive role. And if they did that, and any other country that did that, great. I mean, frankly, the US is not the only country. Just look at who Jaishankar has been speaking to. He's been speaking to the foreign minister of the UAE. He's been speaking to foreign ministers of the UK, of France. I mean, the fact is there are these conversations that take place, and undoubtedly most of these ministers are talking to both sides. So there would have been each country conveying to Pakistan their impression of how India is, conveying to India what their impression is of what Pakistan is up to, etc. But that is not the same as Mr. Trump claiming credit for mediation, because India would never have sought mediation, doesn't need mediation, and I think would never accept the idea that we have in any way accepted foreign mediation in what is, after all, a conflict that we are perfectly capable of handling ourselves.
Dr. Tharoor, my last question to you, and this is with regards to very, very unfortunate trolling of Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and the...
By whom? For what?
Yes, so he is being trolled through the day, and also the two women officers who were the face of communication. Last time when we spoke, you had lauded the entire communication strategy of the government of India. I mean, it's very unfortunate that a career diplomat is being trolled in the manner in which he is being. There are a lot of negative, comments coming his way, and he has gone private. I mean, his entire X handle is now private.
I mean, I'm so sorry. I had no idea he was being trolled, and I find it preposterous. I think young Vikram Misri has done an outstanding job. He has worked very hard, very long hours, and an extremely hardworking and effective voice for India, along with the two lady officers who I think both spoke calmly, professionally, without any hysteria, and in a wonderfully impressive way. I cannot understand who on earth would troll? And I'm not even sure I understand what kind of trolling and why there was. I mean, what were they critical of? What could these people have done differently or better?
All right. Dr. Shashi Tharoor, where do the two countries go from here on? What's your assessment? What will be playing out?
I've answered that. We're going nowhere for now. In due course, there may have to be some other steps, but I've answered that earlier, Maria. Right now, I think we're not going to go anywhere. And as far as I'm concerned, Pakistan doesn't deserve any gestures from the Indian side after their outrageous behavior in Pahalgam and the terrorist outrage that was perpetrated, and the subsequent loss of Indian lives. I mean, I mourn with the people of Poonch. 22 of our citizens have been killed. 59 are even today in hospital battling for their lives. We are not going to take it lightly as if we can go back to normal life with Pakistan. I'm sorry.
All right. Dr. Shashi Tharoor, always a pleasure speaking to you, sir. Grateful for your time here on NDTV. Thank you so much.